You ever watch sports and find yourself wishing there was a way for you to get into the game? Well, you can with Underdog. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can now play in your state. It's easy. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. To play, just choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats, like strikeouts, touchdowns, points scored, or more. You can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at baseball, thinking Aaron Judge can go higher and hitting some home runs. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code GARAGE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with the promo code GARAGE. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Rolling.
Joe, wait, quick. Look at the monitor, okay?
Okay. The Common Surface Savings and Loan brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1547, May 19th, 2025, 97 degrees on this day. Back in the good old days of 2009, it was 33 degrees on this morning in 1961.
Hail the Flashlight King.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner, and the Keeper of Common Sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Get it done.
Keep in mind the Common Surface Savings and Loan, as this fellow named Todd Connors asked for a ruling. Joe, this may not meet the criteria for an issue in need of a ruling. Well, no, I read your email and I think you need help, but I'll give it a try. A couple of decades ago, when I was in the Minnesota National Guard, we were setting up camp in Arden Hills. During a break, one of the sergeants, who was a mail carrier, said that if cash is on the ground on a carrier's regular route, they may keep the cash because it would be determined to be theirs because it was on their route. Of course, my mind got busy with scenarios, so I said, so if a dead body was found on your regular route and it was a result of murder, you'd be guilty of murder and go to prison? Just a bit of nonsense, which we all needed in these times. I doubt this will make the podcast because I am a purveyor of boring facts and useless information. Well, welcome to the club. Yeah. Carry on, Todd. No, it's important because the Common Surface Savings and Loan has nothing to do with being on a particular route. The mail carrier could have been going to the hardware store and found the money on the sidewalk. It's his. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's a letter carrier. I just wanted to clarify that.
Copy.
Common Surface Savings and Loan is money within a certain amount that you just randomly find on the street or on a common surface. That's yours. Unless it exceeds an amount where your ethical virtue is confronted. I mean, you can't keep...
What's your number, Kenny?
Well, we don't go with Kenny. Because he's, a dime is his. A dime is everybody's. But Kenny would say that $1,000 is his, even if it had the name of the recipient on it. Right, Kenny? Yeah, he's shaking his head. Yes, because it's a podcast. He doesn't need the microphone.
Sorry, I had some noisy stuff up. I would keep it all.
Yeah, even with the person's name.
Joe Souchere. What difference does that make? I found it. Finders keepers. It's mine.
Well, in any event, we won't go there. But Todd, if you ever, I realize you're telling me something that happened years and years ago, but if you ever run into that letter carrier again, the mail route has nothing to do with him being able to keep the money. That's not a function of the United States Postal Service.
If it makes you feel any better, if I found your wallet and it was full of cash, I would send the wallet back to you. I'd put it in the mail. I'd pay the extra postage to make sure it gets to you.
I think that's very kind of you.
I keep the cash and the credit cards, of course.
You keep the $7,000 that's inside it?
Yeah.
Rick Grossberg, Edmond, Oklahoma writes, we haven't gotten a lilac update recently, so I'm sending you a picture of lilacs from my parents' yard in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. I hope yours are blooming as well. Yes, an official, I called it last Thursday, knowing that the official day would be in the next few days, and I'm calling yesterday. I took a picture. May 18th, my lilacs bloomed, and my lilac bushes are not in good health. But they're fine. It's colorful. Now, do you want to know what kind of impact it has on a person's life to become GLer of the week and win the Masters Maples?
I would like to know.
I'm going to tell you.
Oh, good.
There was great excitement in Wilmer, Minnesota this past Thursday, May 15th. I had just started listening to your podcast, as I do daily, when my daughter Sue phoned me from Lincoln, Nebraska. Mom, are you listening to Joe? She told me to advance the podcast to 11.30. I did, and I heard the great fanfare and then the prized announcement of GLer of the Week, Karen Stern, Wilmer, Minnesota. That's me. I am still smiling and have replayed it over and over. Thank you.
That's
I
kind
have
of weird.
drooled over Reaver's ads about Masters Maples, how exciting it will be to get a gift box. Again, Joe, thank you for this honor. I have been a loyal supporter and listener since your radio days. Appreciatively, Karen Stern, Wilmer, Minnesota.
Wonderful. It's nice to touch people's lives like that.
And just two more before we get to the news of Garage Logic. I made a fellow's life better for him.
Oh.
However, accidentally. Could we have Author's Corner, please? Any one of them will do.
I wish I would have.
And I only want to hear one. I don't want to hear 15 of them.
Well, but when you ask for Author's Corner, I mean, it's
like going after a Lay's potato chip. If you hear one, you need
Author's
more.
Corner with Joe Souchere. Just the way you want it. Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay,
of Garage
I said
Logic,
one.
It's time for another segment of Author's Corner with Joe Souchere. Author's Corner. Sometimes it gets a little bit crazy.
Hi, Joe, longtime listener from back in the 1500 radio days, and now occasionally on your podcast. Occasionally, that's what you're going to give me for what I've done for you, huh? Recently, you strongly recommended a Geraldine Brooks book called Horse. I'm not much of a reader, but my wife loves to read books and has countless favorites she tells me about from time to time. After you said on your podcast, I cannot recommend this book strongly enough, I suggested to my wife she check it out. She now has it and cannot put it down. She is about done with it and has said she is going to immediately reread it due to its interest and complexity. She has asked me where I heard about it, and I told her you recommended it. She has heard me talk about Garage Logic occasionally, but your name has not really resonated with her over the years. It does now. She told me to let her know if you recommend any other books in the future. I think I'm pretty much a garage listener, but don't always care for your political rants. You're 60% correct most of the time. But on this book review, you hit a home run, and as a result, my wife thinks I'm pretty smart. Way to go. That's the best he can come up with for all I've done for him?
I guess.
It's time for Author's Corner with Joe Souchere, and this one is a strike.
It was a strike for that family, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From Tim. It was
Home
a
run,
strike for
what do you want?
And one more email.
All I got from Tim there was a Martin Short thing when he said, I'm not much of a reader.
Yeah.
I'm a struggling reader.
I'm not a very good swimmer. I have been corrected. I sophomorically poo-pooed the giving names to forest fires in northern Minnesota.
Okay.
I was out of place to do that. I've gotten too many reasonable emails pointing out why it's important to name them. But I would rest on this note. Did we previously name them, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Were they named?
I don't believe
Well, whatever.
so.
They should be named. I acquiesce to the critics.
What was the main point of contention?
Well,
as to
here's
why?
from Mark Lykin. I'm a loyal listener since 2001 when I trained with the St. Paul PD K-9 unit. I have noticed you seem to feel the naming of wildfires as a novelty. or a joke. Wildfires are named from their origin for tracking purposes. The name comes from whatever the first fire official on the scene sees nearby. Whether a street, mountain, or body of water, these decisions are made rapidly in the rush of an emergency. Could you imagine saying Minnesota had fires in 1026 and 3999 in a year, naming them by number? Okay, Royal Order of the 21st or year, Fargo, PD, retired Sergeant Mark. I acquiesce. They're right. They need to be named.
That's what this says, too. The practice of naming wildfires is not tied to a specific date, but rather evolved over time as a way to streamline communication and manage large-scale incidents. And this, according to BME fire trucks, they are usually named after the closest physical landmark, street, road sign, or a nearby geological feature like a lake, creek, mountain range, etc.
Or a pass.
I got it. Okay. Are you aware of this Mexican naval ship that crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge?
Yeah.
It's beyond my comprehension how that could have happened.
The feeling.
They ran, their engine died.
Joe, the feeling they all must have felt as they got closer.
Are we really going to hit this?
Closer.
Are we really going to hit this?
Have you ever felt that feeling? It's like, oh, we are so screwed.
Especially the guys standing on the yard arms.
Yeah, that was the.
They logged 2 died.
Yeah.
Which, when you watch it, I'm surprised only 2 died.
Me too.
Yeah.
19 injured. Nobody on shore was hurt.
No.
And it was festooned with lights, and it was celebratory. And Chuck Schumer, who I'm still waiting to know what he's ever done for America. Chuck Schumer is blaming it on Trump.
He cut the engine?
Now, Trump can be guilty of many things, but Trump had nothing to do with the Navy ship crashing. And the Coast Guard has had to step up and put Schumer in his place. Schumer suggested that the Department of Government Efficiency may be partly responsible for the Mexican Navy ship crashing into the Brooklyn Bridge Saturday night.
Oh, boy.
Schumer made the claim in a press release Sunday, saying he had been briefed on the details of the crash, which left 2 people dead and over a dozen more injured. Schumer argued that a U.S. Coast Guard system may have been operating at partial capacity due to a Dodge hiring freeze at the Department of Homeland Security. But the Coast Guard itself says the system was fully functional during the incident. We know that the Trump administration has been meddling in U.S. Coast Guard operations from staffing, command, and communications, and I have the general sense of a Dodge dysfunction in parts of the Coast Guard. To put it mildly, Schumer wrote in a statement, after being fully briefed on last night's Brooklyn Bridge incident, one thing is very clear. There are more questions than answers to how this accident occurred and whether it could have been prevented. Schumer, you're a moron.
Dodo bird.
Schumer went on to point out to the Dodge implemented hiring freeze at the U.S. Coast Guard, arguing it could have impeded the Coast Guard's vehicle traffic system, which works in a similar fashion to the air traffic control system. None of that had anything to do with the ship. It lost power.
Right.
It was maybe poorly maintained, which isn't Trump's fault. God almighty. The Democrats really have nothing to offer. We'll get to Walz in a moment, him being a Democrat and have nothing to offer. They have nothing to offer the American people. There are indications that this service, called the VTS, may not have been fully or adequately functional in light of the hiring freeze. We don't know the answer. We need answers. If this were the case, Brooklyn Bridge accident could be a national harbinger demanding immediate action. We must do something about this.
Immediately.
Schumer said.
Harumph.
Schumer, what the bleep did the Coast Guard have to do with this? The Coast Guard rejected Schumer's claim in a statement of its own. Furthermore, there were no other ships involved in the crash that would have brought into play that traffic control system. There was nothing else to run into except the bridge.
Come on, Chuck. Stand up.
The Coast Guard said the vehicle traffic system was fully functional during the incident and operating in accordance with established procedures to manage commercial traffic and facilitate navigation. That's according to CBS, which apparently talked to the Coast Guard. Our response included launching a crew from Station New York, establishing a temporary safety zone, and coordinating with NYPD, FDNY, and NYCDOT, because we're a world of acronyms, aren't we? The Coast Guard did not respond to Fox, wanted a question, but they responded to CBS, which is fine. The National Transportation Safety Board announced Sunday it was launching a GO team to the Brooklyn Bridge, the site of the crash. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams said the Mexican tall ship called the Chautamach lost power and crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge.
Chautamach.
And I think it was going to sail all the way to Europe. Thank God it didn't get out of the harbor, because these characters wouldn't have made it. I'm serious. They wouldn't have made it.
No.
At this time, the 277 on board, 19 sustained injuries, 2 remain in critical condition, 2 more have sadly passed away from their injuries, the mayor wrote on X. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum. I've said this before. How do you get a Mexican named Sheinbaum?
Yes, we wonder.
Said she regretted the passing of 2 crew members who lost their lives in the accident. Our solidarity and support go out to their families. Okay. Trump had nothing to do with the ship crashing into the Brooklyn Bridge.
Schumer's dad he owned
Taylor?
an exterminating business.
Yeah.
And Mom was a homemaker. He is a non-believer.
He's a non-believer?
Yes.
What's that mean?
He's Jewish.
I know that.
Yes.
May I ask a
doesn't
question?
mean you have to speak like that.
No.
May I ask a question?
That's the Brooklyn accent, not the Jewish accent.
Schumer was asked if he was comfortable.
Yes, he makes a good living.
If it was planning to go to Europe, how was it going to get there?
That doesn't seem like a
That route seems
Atlantic
a bit problematic.
I don't think the Brooklyn Bridge is a lift bridge.
Thank you.
Having been on it, I don't recall it being a lift bridge. Those masts went down like dominoes, didn't they?
Yes.
Gee whiz.
Yeah, that's scary.
It's a fairly new boat, by the way. I mean, it's not an ancient Navy vessel. It's a modern era boat.
I love when we start to tread into waters we have no
I'm with
business
Kenny,
dealing with.
I'm
whatsoever.
totally-
I have every business dealing with this. I know how boats operate.
That's true. You're a sailor.
Well,
Yeah.
No, Chris, he's a seaman.
It's a decorative. It's a symbolic, decorative boat represent. I didn't even know Mexico had a navy.
Yeah, what do you see when you think of the next Mexican Navy?
Unfortunately, Matt, what I now see is this boat crashing into the Brooklyn Bridge.
And I'm with Kenny. Are we really going to hit this? Are we really going to hit this?
Oh,
Where's
just
the
that
reverse?
feeling. That feeling you get right before, you know it's going to be bad. And yep, it was bad.
Boom.
Well, how about the guys on about the third tier of the yard arms? Are they saying, whoa, 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 whoa?
Hang on.
And
Do you jump
see
off?
What
do you do?
In certain videos, you see a tug that seems to be desperately trying to push the boat sideways. The tug apparently
Yes.
was unable to
Saw that.
to control the ultimate. It was not dissimilar to the disabled cargo ship that hit the bridge in Maryland.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I said it was not dissimilar.
correct.
That's right.
Thank you.
Extra is ordinary in Sioux Falls. Look at the numbers. In addition to have a business-friendly tax environment with no personal or corporate state income taxes, Sioux Falls is growing, has a large, well-educated workforce, cost of living is low, central location, developed industrial parks, so your cost of doing business is lower. Not to mention, South Dakota is one of the most business-friendly states in the country. There's no state corporate or personal income tax. no inheritance tax,
Nice.
no limits to what your business can achieve. If you're thinking about expanding your business or moving a portion of your business or starting a brand new business, consider Sioux Falls and find yourself in one of the most business-friendly states in the country, if not the most business-friendly. It's not like here. And you can find out everything you need at the Sioux Falls Development Foundation, but just go to SiouxFallsDevelopment.com. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's the end of the world as we know
Oh,
it,
for
and he
God's
feels fine.
sake.
It's
Joe
Monday.
Souchere.
Let's go.
Step into the mast is Kenny Olson.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe me. Believe Ann from Winona. She wrote a wonderful email. Following a 4-hour drive from Duluth to Winona, the front of my daughter's car was covered in bugs. Adding to the mess was the fact that she didn't tell us about it right away. It sat in the hot sun for a week. You couldn't even scratch them off with your fingernail. They were that baked onto the vehicle. No problem for bugs be gone. We sprayed a healthy dose in the front of the car, let it set for about 5 minutes, and Viola, off it came with very little effort. Thank you for the recommendation of a great product. She did attach before and after pictures, and she said that she loves the show. And that is exactly how you use Bugs Be Gone to get the most out of the product. Spray it on, let it set for a few minutes, then wash it off with ease. 3 Seafoam products every GLer should have on hand. Of course, a spray bottle of Bugs Be Gone. Carry it with you in your daily driver. The Seafoam engine treatment, that'll keep your cylinders happy. And the amazing Deep Creep penetrating oil that works better than any other product on the market. It's the GLer's, I don't know, let's call it the car care kit. Deep Creep, Bugs Be Gone, and the engine treatment. Buy all 3, give them as a gift, and you'll be loved and appreciated for your effort. They are our own local company with a global reach. They are Seafoam.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen of Garage Logic, it's time to gear up for Souchere's Author's Corner.
Oh, yeah.
All right, as long as that, I just meant to mention this to this guy who, Tim, who said that his wife likes my book recommendations. Your wife's going to be wanting to show me her affection after I give you these 2. Write these down, Tim Donahue. Write these 2 down. Give them to the boss. This is happiness. I've recommended these before on the air. This is happiness. Read that one first. Followed by Time of the Child. Both by Neil. Look them up, John. Please help me. Neil Williams. Nill. Neil Williams. Niall. And I think it's Williams. Not Williamson. I think he's Irish. Niall Williams.
Author's Corner, Suchi style. Who will it be next?
Yeah, then you can thank me again there, buddy, because you're going to go crazy reading those.
He is an Irish author born in Dublin
Right.
in 1958.
This is happiness, Time of the Child. I got a note from
What
Laura.
time was it? 8:30, 8:45?
What?
Rook was curious. The time of the child.
I don't know.
Got it.
Do you get a lot of
You gotta read
emails
it.
from you get emails from guys thanking you for making their wives happy, or is that just me that gets those?
No, I get those. See, I have a note from Laura, who's the sister of our other frequent Laura
Carrie.
and Carrie.
Yep.
And she wrote, as I usually do on Saturdays, I read through the upcoming St. Paul City Council meeting agenda in the Pioneer Press and noticed these 2 items up for approval. So I'm about to read them to you. We got into a bit of an email exchange this morning. I've missed this. Apparently, in the Saturday Pioneer Press, under legal notifications, the City Council lists its agenda. I didn't know that. I thought I read the paper pretty carefully. But sure enough, this was in there. Here it is. Rook, you verify that?
Plain it. That's letterhead.
St. Paul, City of St. Paul meeting agenda. It's 9 pages. And you come to page 3. Resolution 25-806. You ready?
What is it?
accepting the gift of the costs of travel, food, and lodging from the Carbon Neutral Cities Alliance for CRO Russ Stark and Climate Action Coordinator Liz Boyer to attend the annual gathering of the Carbon Neutral Cities Alliance in Glasgow, Scotland, June 16 to 19 this year.
Okay.
Now, thank God the taxpayers are not paying for that.
Who is?
The unknown Russ Stark, who apparently is the resiliency officer in St. Paul, he's going to pick up this free gig. So to complain and bitch about carbon, they're going to fly to Glasgow, Scotland on somebody else's dime. Thank God it's somebody else's dime.
Right. That makes it okay.
Resolution 25-07. Accepting the gift of travel, food, and lodging from the Global Philanthropy Partnership for Chief Resilience Officer Russ Stark to attend a Midwest leadership delegation, in Paris, France, June 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26, 2025. Now, he goes to Scotland till the 19th, and he has to be back in Paris the 22nd for another important meeting.
Busy guy.
I would imagine he won't
Pedal?
won't
Bike?
come back here first.
Probably not riding his bike.
Rebecca Necker sponsored those. Russ Stark has Laura writes, Russ Stark sure has a great gig getting to jet set around Europe this summer. Meanwhile, the city is becoming more and more overrun with drug-addled vagrants who certainly aren't concerned with City Hall's climate resiliency plans. What a crock. It is really, it is, and again, we should all feel some relief that for some reason we don't have to pay for this.
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
Yep.
But God knows how many groups there are that would fund this BS, because it's utter nonsense. You're flying to Glasgow, you'll return with nothing. Then you fly to Paris and you'll return with nothing. There is only one member of Mayor Carter's team whose work can be measured for accomplishment. Only one member of his team. And I looked up his team today. It's longer than it's ever been. I mean, there's more names on it. And there's only one member whose work can be accomplished and who always shows up.
God bless you. Well, knocked his glasses off.
Excuse me.
It's that city operator guy, right? Streets and maintenance?
Sean Kershaw, Public Works Director.
Yeah.
He'll stand in front of the microphone. He'll take his shots.
Yeah.
And he shows up. And he does the work. He's the only one.
And he'll say, "We got a hole on 7th Street."
Well, he'll take responsibility for getting it fixed. He's the only guy on about the 400-member team that Carter has whose work can be seen and measured for accomplishment. The only one. Do you think this Stark has been getting away with this scam for years now? Just an utter scam to be the chief resiliency officer. The taxpayers are not off the hook in paying for this character. Do you think he's done anything that could be measured for accomplishment?
No.
Anyone? Staff? Anyone?
No, of course not.
I intend to call him and ask him.
Okay.
Well, that ought to be fun. Do it on the air.
Well, do you think I actually reach him? What else do we have on this?
We should try that sometime. A regular citizen should call, sit right next to you, try to get through, and then you should call claiming to be Joe Souchere and see if you get through. Because I wonder how many people, when they hear your name, go, tell him I'm out of the office.
Well, he doesn't. I can't imagine he needs to talk to anybody. He's the resiliency officer. He's too busy being resilient. Now, here's
full-time job.
On page 4 of the city council meeting, we're going to approve. I didn't know this. We're going to approved the renaming of Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary and Indian Mounds Regional Park to reflect Dakota cultural significance. It doesn't tell me what the new name is.
They're going to take Vento's name off of there?
Apparently, we're going to get more of a native name.
Well, I'm for that, but Bruce Vento was he was a lefty, but he's a pretty good guy.
Most of this is pretty mundane stuff. They're going to let the Ordway Center have a sound level variance for a couple of days. Maybe they're going to have something outside. A lot of it has to do with tax assessments for property and what have you. But in any event, yeah, go ahead.
Anything in there about the time and the temp?
No.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could get the time and the temp.
Yep.
But how can St. Paul survive for at least the 2 weeks that the sustainability officer will be gone? How will we get by?
Is there an assistant CRO?
Oh, God, yes. I'm
so
sure
just
there
fill
is.
the slots?
It's just amazing. But again, other people are paying for his airplane ticket.
That's okay. That makes me feel better. It's not the city of St. Paul. It's some private place, so let the good gas flow.
Well, what are you going to do?
I see the assistant as stepping in and swaggering in like Frank Burns on MASH when Henry would leave for the weekend.
Yeah. Yes.
Just start laying down
Power
rules,
trip. Yeah, right.
demands, and reveille, the whole deal.
Just like Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan did when Walz was away.
Right.
Changing wallpaper, new couch.
Yeah. Get rid of that rose garden.
lost.
Oh, wait, that wasn't her.
Who was the national guy that did it? Remember when I'm the president?
Alexander Haig.
Alexander Haig.
Alexander
As of
Haig.
now, I'm in control here.
I'm
at
running
the White
the
House.
show.
Yeah.
So
Who was
my-
the president?
Reagan. That's when Reagan was shot.
got shot, and Haig couldn't. He knocked people down to get to the microphone to say, I'm the president right now. My man's been shot.
Put George Bush in a closet and said, I'm going upstairs.
He would be played on TV by Larry Linville,
Yes.
a genius actor.
As you know, apparently great skepticism remains for a budget deal in Minnesota.
What was the deadline? Was it today? Midnight?
Midnight. Yep,
They're
tonight.
not going to finish on time. There will be a special session, and I have suggestions from various people. Here's one from Tall Paul from St. Paul.
Okay.
Should the DFL pay for that special session? They got paid for what? 30 days they didn't show
when
up.
they pouted.
When they were hiding and pouting and playing video games. Why don't they pay for the special session? Why is that going to cost us so much money?
I think the Dems had their Lenten loophole there, where let's just not come in and get paid.
It wasn't Lent when they avoided work.
Why not just extend
What's
the
the-
session? Well, it was about a month, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Why not just extend the session a month?
I guess the sticking point is the health care for illegals. The Mysterian wing of the DFL wants everyone to be covered. Certainly children should be, and they will be under the proposed budget. But the Mysterians want everyone to be covered. I keep settling on Chavez in Minneapolis.
Jason.
Jason. I really want you to get him on the air.
I've attempted.
In person.
Okay.
I really want to know.
We'll try again.
Because he would be representative of the Mysterian mindset.
I'll say.
I want to know what they want. What do they envision? What's the end game? I want to know what they want. The people who want to pay for the health care for people who are here illegally. Well, what if suddenly there were 100,000 people here illegally? Where are their limits? Are there any perimeters? Do they have guidelines? I don't think they do. I just think that the Mysterians believe that every bit of money produced should be spent on other people. And, okay, what are you going to do, though, when you run out of the money produced? Minnesota's already losing more than $3 billion in income taxes from people who have gone elsewhere. Pat Garofalo reflects on that frequently. What do you want? What do you think this is? Just it doesn't grow on trees. Where do you think you're headed? Should we do Johnny Heidt and then get to our dear leader and his comments over the weekend?
Yeah, we can do that. Or do you want to? We got time to get to him now if you'd like to as well.
Well, let's hear the dear leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will play you first a clip. He was giving a speech at the University of Minnesota.
I think it was to law school graduates.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is what the crumbling of rule of law looks like in real time. And it's exactly what the founders of this nation feared. A tyrant abusing power to persecute scapegoats and enemies. Look, I get it. There's nervous folks on my side of the aisle. They don't want us to touch any of this. I keep hearing this. Oh, the polling really, it sucks talking about this. It's a distraction from more important issues. Consultants said steer away from talking about this rule of law stuff. But caring about this stuff isn't partisanship or politics. It's patriotism. The rule.
You know, a lot of what Walz said could be parsed as justified and certainly fodder for conversation, but it loses all credibility coming from a guy who runs the most crooked, corrupt state in the entire union.
Point of order, Your Honor. Wasn't he also the same guy that created a snitch line if I had a barbecue and more than 6 people were at my house?
I don't think he was thinking of patriotism then.
Or tyranny.
He's also a great supporter of a Hennepin County attorney who flaunts the rule of law every single day by letting criminals go.
And he mocks and makes fun of outstate voters that don't vote for him.
But, Governor, your remarks certainly align with your party's ideology, but you lose all credibility because you run the worst state in the country, and you're the worst governor in the country. You have presided over fraud after fraud after fraud after fraud. You show no signs of ending any of that, nor are you capable of any financial understanding of what you're doing.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye. Just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared.
Says the guy.
To be clear, there's no way for us to know whether they were actually criminals or not, because they refused to give them a trial. We're supposed to just take their word for it.
Says a guy who had a snitch line.
Right. Oh, on behalf of the GL community.
We don't know that.
This was a commencement address. What does any of this have to do with going out into the world?
It's supposed to be about opportunity, taking advantage.
Inspiration.
Yes.
I could link this to Schumer, believing
it's a political speech at a graduation.
Because he has nothing else to say. He can hardly go in there and tout the success of Minnesota. He can hardly go in there and tout a bright future for Minnesotans. And we're so glad that you're studying the law to continue the great tradition of the state of Minnesota. He's ruined the state of Minnesota.
You just gave a better commencement address in 10 seconds than he did for that whole speech.
Because he has nothing else. There's nothing else this guy knows. Or same with Schumer. They have nothing else to say. The Mexican ship must have crashed because of Trump.
I didn't read anything about how the graduates felt about this speech. Did anybody poll the graduating class, ask them how they felt about the speech?
If they did, I'm unaware of it.
Maybe this is what they wanted.
But they're also in a no-win position, Ken. They can't just basically get up and walk out. You know, that they're forced to sit there.
Well, they're also graduates of a failed academy law school, and for all I know, they're all on his side.
I wouldn't say
he
all.
might have known very well his audience. I mean, we've showed or listened to the audio of these weird oaths that incoming medical students have to take.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's just preposterous. So he might very well have known that he was speaking to the choir there. It's unlikely that young legal scholars are in the Trump camp, but that doesn't excuse Walz. He had a responsibility, I would imagine, to give something heartfelt. Well, he is. It's heartfelt from him, but that's all he's got to be heartfelt about.
One trick pony.
He has no other good news to be heartfelt about. He has nothing. There isn't any. He blew the chance for this state to be on a real, well, to use a Russ Stark term, a real sustainable path. and he's seen to that destruction. Why don't we take a break and bring back Johnny?
We can, but first let me tell you about our friends at North American Banking Company. Banking done differently. That's their simple philosophy, and they've been doing that since 1998 when they made a promise to deliver a better banking experience for their customers where you know your banker and they know you. And while a lot has changed since then, this commitment to being a true community bank in the Twin Cities, that has not. And you get that feeling anytime you walk in any one of the 6 Twin Cities locations, whether it's Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks. Whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about, my friends at North American Banking Company are going to be able to help you out. They also offer all of the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And right now is a perfect time to put your home's equity to work. And a home equity line of credit from North American Banking Company is going to give you flexible access to funds when you need them most. Whether it's that new home project at the home or the cabin, an unexpected expense, or something else, their experts make it easy. And your first step right now is to check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
You got that?
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
I've said it a million times this spring already. A beautiful lawn is just a click away. ProfessionalTurf.com. Well, you think I'd be able to say it. Go to the website, schedule a free lawn care analysis and estimate right now. So Dave, the owner of ProTurf, know him well. He's a longtime GLer going way, way back. That means he does things the GL way. In this case, when you schedule that free estimate, ProTurf is going to send a highly trained and experienced service tech to your home. They're going to walk your lawn, reconnoiter the situation, and give you an estimate instead of the phone quote that you're going to get from the other companies. Oh, yeah, they'll give you a free estimate, but they're not going to come out and look at your yard. Not with ProTurf. ProTurf will walk your lawn, then customize. It's going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 step fertilizer and weed control plan put on throughout the growing season. It's environmentally safe and guaranteed for superior results. That means a beautiful, thick, healthy lawn, no crabgrass, no dandelions, no broadleaf weeds, and you will win the best lawn on the block contest year after year. Locally owned, Professional Turf. They've been doing it since 1982. Schedule that free in-person lawn care estimate right now. ProfessionalTurf.com.
Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe. This update brought to you by North American Banking Company. A sports note, the Timberwolves now know they'll be playing the Oklahoma City Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. The Thunder dismantling Denver in Game 7 of their series yesterday. In Game 1 in Oklahoma tomorrow night gets underway at 7:30, broadcast on ESPN. In news, state lawmakers are working with a midnight deadline to work out the final budget bills, with the session winding down today in the Minnesota House and Senate. The House and Senate reconvened this morning, but a special session will most likely now be necessary to finish the biggest parts of the budget. If that deadline comes with work still left to be done, it means a special session will have to be called, and then the clock will start ticking to June 30th. If there's still not a budget deal by that time, the state would enter a government shutdown, which hasn't happened since 2011 in Minnesota. Lawmakers were busy throughout the weekend passing a flurry of bills, including agriculture and House finance bills, as well as both a judiciary and a public safety finance bill. More of the people who were forced from their homes by the wildfires burning across northern Minnesota are being allowed back into their properties as fire crews make progress. As of around 9:15 this morning, the Eastern Area Incident Management Team announced the Camp House fire is now 40% contained, while crews were finally able to start containing the Jenkins Creek fire, although that percentage is only at 6%. Up until early this morning, the fire was at 0% containment. Team officials say great progress made along the Camp House fire's perimeter, and more crews have arrived, meaning other firefighters can be moved to the Jenkins Creek fire. So far, more than 400 people working on the Camp House fire, which is at nearly 12,300 acres in size. The Jenkins Creek fire has burned more than 16,300 acres. So far, just under 200 people working to contain that fire. A community meeting will be held tonight, 6 o'clock, in the auditorium of Mesabi East High School in Aurora. That meeting will also be live streamed on Facebook.
Dumb question.
Mm-hmm.
Can burned wood be salvaged for lumber?
Yeah, if
charred?
If it's just lightly.
Okay, charred. Can charred trees be felled and then put through the sawmill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think burnt wood would just be ash.
Right, so charred. But isn't it true that one of the problems in California was that lumber companies were not allowed to go in and harvest charred trees? They had to be left alone. I wonder if that's true in Minnesota. Will we allow lumber companies?
I should walk back my proclamation. I'm not sure about pine and softwoods. I was thinking hardwood, and I'm guessing all of these trees up there are all the pine variety, right?
I would imagine.
Fir?
I would imagine. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Court documents show all charges have been dismissed for a man who was suspected of taking his sister's gun and then causing M Health Fairview Southdale Hospital to go into lockdown about a month ago. According to the state's dismissal document, the case against Larry Sharp has been dismissed due to prosecutors not being able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt a crime had been committed based on the evidence they had. The document is dated Wednesday, May 14th. Sharp had been charged with 2 counts of domestic assault and 1 count of threats of violence for the April 22nd incident. A hearing had been scheduled to be held next week. 5 Eyewitness News reached out to Hennepin County Attorney's Office for a comment on the state's decision to dismiss the case. They replied with a statement that read, "Continued investigative efforts after Mr. Sharp was initially charged revealed he did not bring the gun on the premises and was acting in self-defense when he disarmed his sister. In light of this new evidence, felony charges could not be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. In agreement with the Edina Police Department, we determined dismissal to be appropriate course of action."
I got it.
Star Tribune reporting Police Chief Brian O'Hara says Minneapolis has a, quote, very detached bourgeois liberal mentality. According to a New York Post story posted Friday, as the city this week approaches the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's murder, O'Hara said he became accustomed to a very democratic city when he worked in Newark, New Jersey, but that nothing had prepared him for the ultra-liberal orthodoxy, as the Post put it, that he found in Minneapolis.
Boy, is he right.
O'Hara had been Newark's public safety director before coming here. He's quoted as saying in the Post story, "Here it's a very, very ideological, and a lot of times it's like reality and facts can't get through the filter. It's a very detached bourgeois liberal mentality. It's bizarre." O'Hara's comments are part of a story about Minneapolis as it approaches the 5-year mark next Sunday since Floyd's killing. After spending a week in Minneapolis, reporter Dana Kennedy wrote that the city is broken, divided, and suffering. Much of the Post story focusing on the anger and trauma of police officers over abandoning the 3rd Precinct police station, which was torched by protesters, and the demonization of Minneapolis police officers. The mayor's office declined to comment on the story, but O'Hara's comments irritated some Minneapolis city council members. Council President Elliot Payne said progressives in Minneapolis are not a monolith, which he said is hard for some to wrap their head around, especially people new to the city's political ecosystem. Councilmember Jason Chavez, who lived 6 blocks from the intersection where Floyd was killed, said he was inspired to run for the council afterwards, said O'Hara's remarks were, quote, not only disrespectful, but counterproductive and condescending.
That was my favorite part of this entire thing over the weekend, was all these people losing their minds. Folks, O'Hara's not wrong.
No, he's right on the money, and I wonder if he'd be willing to sit in here and talk about it, or would that just hasten his departure?
I think that would probably hurt him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why don't we take a quick break here? Take a break and hear from Mr. Mikulski.
Johnny Heidt, thank you very much. I do want to tell you people about a wonderful new program at the Minnesota Masonic. They are doing some fantastic work. And the first thing you want to do is make sure you got your copy. And I forgot to get my copy, so I've got to go search my email.
It's Wing It Wednesday on a Monday.
It's not Wing It Wednesday. I've got it sitting right here. I'm just kidding. Here's the deal. Minnesota Masonic, what they want you to do is they've got a great new program, and it is going to change things left and right. The Civility Project. You've been hearing about Masonic on the Garage Logic for a couple of years now, but they really are doing great stuff. Big things like donating over $6 million annually to support cancer research, aging studies, and children's communication disorders. And they're also awarding scholarships to dozens of high school students each year. You know about that. There's over 8,000 Freemasons throughout Minnesota. They're working to make the world a better place by focusing on the core values of friendship. This is stuff we talk about in Garage Logic all the time. Personal development, helping those in need. Minnesota's Freemasons are also helping mentor the next generation with the Civility Project. The Civility Project is a series of events throughout Minnesota designed to engage the younger generation, teach them the significance of decorum, kindness, civility in today's society. So this project emphasizes values that are more important now than ever. Putting down the phones, eye contact, learning to walk alongside those who may see the world differently. Just another example of Freemasonry at work. The next Civility Project, May 29th at the Duluth Masonic Temple. There's also going to be events later this year in Farmington and Red Wing. To learn more about Freemasonry and the Civility Project, visit mnfreemasons.org.
This is Ricey for the Canopy Group. Since 1858, Minnesotans have been enjoying all this great state has to offer. From Niagara Cave to the Lake of the Woods, outdoors adventures abound. Did you know Minnesota spans more than 86,000 square miles? I didn't know that. It's great we can experience a state so rich in landmarks, landscapes, art, and adventure. With so many options, it got us thinking, why are so many Minnesotans limiting their home and auto insurance options? Today, 80% of Minnesotans have their insurance with just one agent who has only one company. No options. At the Canopy Group, we offer you more than 16 companies for your home and auto insurance, and 50 professionals work for us. So as your needs change, they have options that can provide you with comprehensive insurance coverage. You wouldn't want to fish in only one of Minnesota's 10,000 lakes, and the Canopy Group doesn't want you to be stuck with only one insurance company. Visit thecanopygroup.com or call 800-967-3389 and get your insurance options today.
What is this clip?
Here's a guy that lost his mouse.
Well, the mouse ain't working.
Hey, now. I wonder if you keep dropping it like that, if that will help.
Also, if you play with the mic while you do the mouse.
Well, why doesn't the mouse work?
Here's a guy that beats the shit out of the mouse. It's Joe Souchere.
Oh, wait a minute. I got her. Here we go.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Does he?
There we go.
Not really.
Masters Maples at mastersmaples.com. We just heard from our loyal GLer, Town Council Member of the Week, in the first segment of today's show. Here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking at upping your game for the grilling season, then I suggest you go to mastersmaples.com.
What was her name?
Karen.
Karen or
Will you let me know whenever you find that there? But also, they have a great email newsletter that you can get signed up for. And it's really cool because they have a lot of cool recipes.
Stern.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Masters Maples, for your patience during this ad. But if you sign up for that newsletter, it's pretty cool because they give you a lot of recipes and grilling ideas to kick off the grilling season. The savory seasoning, I used it over the weekend. I actually used it on vegetables, and it was fantastic. You like grilling vegetables, Joey?
Sure.
Okay. Here's the deal, too. If you go to mastersmaples.com, you can see their full line of products, whether it's the traditional maple syrup, the bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup, or, like I mentioned, those sweet and savory seasonings and rubs. And also, if you're looking at pure maple sugar, they are your go-to source. And it's that time of the year that you want to fire up that grill and make the best of the grilling season. And why not include our friends at Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com.
Karen Stern.
That's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In national and international news, residents in Kentucky and Missouri sifted through damage in tornado-stricken neighborhoods after storms killed more than 24 people as they swept through parts of the Midwest and the South. Hardest hit, Kentucky. A devastating tornado damaged hundreds of homes, tossed vehicles about, and left many homeless. 19 people killed in that area, most of them in southeastern Laurel County. The Kentucky storms emerged from a weather system that killed 7 in Missouri, 2 in northern Virginia. The system also spawned tornadoes in Wisconsin, brought punishing heat to Texas, and temporarily enveloped parts of Illinois, including Chicago, in a pall of dust on an otherwise sunny day.
Aren't they also supposed to get hit again today in that part of the country?
I'm unaware of that, Chris.
I thought I saw that this morning.
U.S. Supreme Court this morning allowing President Trump's administration to strip about 350,000 Venezuelans living in the U.S. of a temporary protected status given under his predecessor Joe Biden as the president moves to ramp up deportations as part of his hardline approach to immigration. The court granted the Justice Department's request to lift San Francisco-based U.S. District Judge Edward Chen's order. That order had halted Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's decision to terminate the deportation protection conferred to Venezuelans under the Temporary Protected Status, or TPS, program. Moscow is ready to work toward ending the fighting in Ukraine. That coming this morning from Russian President Vladimir Putin after a 2-hour phone call with President Trump. Putin said that Russia and Ukraine would need to find compromises to suit all parties. Trump has struggled to end the war that began with Russia's invasion in February 2022 and makes these conversations a test of his reputation as a deal maker after having claimed he would quickly settle the conflict. It appears, though, Putin, what he said today pretty much is what he said 2 weeks ago, which did not happen.
John, did he say we're just another day closer? Did he use that one?
He stole Chris Reavers and Matt Mikulski's line.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the Mideast, Israel's military began activating troops in Gaza on Sunday as part of a larger ground operation aimed at pushing Hamas to demilitarize and release the remaining hostages it holds now. As a senior Israeli official said, a strike last week targeting Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar likely killed the Hamas leader. Israel's military said yesterday it began extensive ground operations throughout the northern and southern Gaza Strip after a wave of 670 airstrikes that it says is targeting Hamas infrastructure. U.S. lost its last perfect credit rating Friday, with Moody's downgrading U.S. debt one notch from an AAA rating to AA1. The decision over the rising U.S. deficit, increased interest payment ratios, and sluggish growth ends the country's perfect Moody's credit rating, which had been in place since 1917. Moody's said it expects federal debt to jump from 98% of the U.S. gross domestic product last year to 134% by 2035, with the deficit expected to jump to nearly 9% of GDP. Moody's is the last major credit rating agency to have granted the U.S. a perfect rating after Fitch downgraded the U.S. in 2023 and S&P Global did so in 2011. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent acknowledging yesterday that Walmart, the largest U.S. retailer, may pass along some of the costs from President Trump's tariffs to its shoppers through higher prices. Bessent described his call with the company's CEO a day after Trump warned Walmart to avoid raising prices from the tariffs at all and vowed to keep a close watch on what it does. As doubts persist about the economic program, Bessent pushed back against inflation concerns, praised the uncertainty caused by Trump as a negotiating tactic for trade talks, and dismissed that downgrade that we just told you about. Walmart did not comment on Bessent's description in his conversation with McMillan. In a social media post Saturday morning filled with words spelled in all caps and exclamation points, the president said Walmart should eat the tariff costs that his policy is causing, saying, "I'll be watching, and so will your customers." Former President Joe Biden commented publicly for the first time this morning after it was announced he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. He wrote on X, "Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support." Biden's team revealed Sunday the former president was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. Former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and President Trump have since commented on Biden's cancer diagnosis and wished him well.
Did you see what Don Jr. weighed in on that?
I did, yeah.
Don Jr. is surprised that Dr. Jill Biden wouldn't have known this. Don, she's not a urologist. She got a PhD in the failed academy.
He's saying as a doctor, she should know these things.
Yeah, and he's thinking she's a medical doctor. So
probably want to sit that play out.
Yeah.
Don's a moron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The car bombing.
You know, he doesn't do a good job like Brooke and I do of self-editing.
Right.
The car bombing outside a California fertility clinic that killed one person and injured 4 others appears to have been driven by an anti-natalist ideology, according to 2 senior law enforcement officials briefed on the incident. Now, I did have to look this up because I didn't know what it meant. The guy's name was Guy Edward Bartkiss, and he's an anti-natalist that refers to the belief that no one should have children.
Oh.
Same person may also be linked to an online forum post from earlier this month in which the individual contemplated suicide using an explosive device. They are also investigating a YouTube account under the same name that features videos of experiments with homemade explosives. By the way, Bartkiss was killed also in that blast.
You know what the people around Don Jr. are saying right now? Who's going to tell him?
Yeah. Right.
Don Jr. doesn't surround himself with the kind of friends you do, does he?
I guess not.
Because we can't wait to tell you.
Somebody's got to tell Don.
Oh, me, pick me.
Is it my turn?
Somebody's got to tell Don that she's not a doctor.
Oklahoma high school students studying U.S. history learn about a lot of things, but beginning next year, they'll add something to that. Conspiracy. Are you okay, Joe?
Anyway.
Conspiracy
Who's going to tell
theories.
them?
Not it.
They'll add conspiracy theories about the 2020 presidential election to their high school curriculum.
We're going to study that, huh?
Yeah. Conspiracies mentioned by name include conspiracies that have since been debunked since they were spread on social media after 2020. Oklahoma's new social studies standards for K through 12, already infused with references to national pride and the Bible, were revised at the direction of State School Superintendent Ryan Walters. He has spent much of his first term in office lauding President Trump, feuding with teachers' unions and local school superintendents, trying to end what he describes as wokeness in public schools. A group of parents and educators have filed a lawsuit asking a judge to reject the standards, arguing they were not reviewed properly. They represent a distorted view of social studies that intentionally favors an outdated and blatantly biased perspective.
Did you see in Minneapolis what we have for study? It was in today's paper. Where is it? We have social and emotional classes.
I did see that, yeah.
I have nowhere to go with that. It's BS. But that's just as bad as studying the elections.
Do they teach self-care?
I don't know.
I love the term self-care.
Yeah. That's what it's about. It's about decompressing and things like
being in a safe spot.
That's right.
Jones.
You got to have a safe spot.
Safe area. Yeah.
CBS News CEO Wendy McMahon said this morning she's resigning after 4 years. The latest fallout at the network after its parent company considers settling a lawsuit with President Trump over a 60 Minutes interview with his former political opponent. McMahon, who has led both the network news division and news for the CBS-owned station, said in an email message to staff that it's become clear that the company and I do not agree on the path forward. It's time to move on and for this organization to move forward with new leadership. McMahon has made clear she opposes settling with the president, just like 60 Minutes executive producer Bill Owens, who quit last month. The president has sued CBS, alleging it edited an interview with Kamala Harris last fall to benefit her.
Well, they did edit the interview.
CBS News has denied that. CBS parent company.
Well, no, it's hard to deny it when you can watch it.
They denied that.
They denied they edited it, yeah.
To benefit her.
It did benefit her.
They just said they edited it.
Well, they left out her most idiotic stuff.
It's like, Yeah.
Wait, do you not agree with that, John?
Yeah, I disagree completely with that.
Well, have you watched it?
I worked in TV news enough to know that you edit everything, over and over. And for promos, you edit stuff differently than you do for the program.
But John, they completely changed an answer that she gave.
This
to
was
a
the
question.
removal of all idiocy, which was, that's pretty helpful.
We did because we played the side by side clips on the show.
Yes, sure. What, for promo?
Who's the parent company of CBS? Paramount?
Paramount, yeah.
Paramount?
They're the ones that are talking about settling, and that's why everybody keeps quitting in the news division, because they're talking about settling. So,
loyal town council member Hans is also weighing in. You were mentioning that Don Jr. was upset that Dr. Jill Biden wasn't able to diagnose it. Apparently, according to Hans, Don Jr. is also mad at Dr. J because he didn't find it as well.
Yeah.
What about
Dr. Fever?
Or Dr.
Did
Pepper?
anybody
Dr.
consult
Fever,
Dr. Fever?
And he's angry at Doctor Who.
Hans, that's a funny line.
Dr. Feelgood. Well, drive-thrus are...
Dr. J.
Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
Did we lose Dr. J? We did, didn't we?
No, he's still alive.
Is he still alive?
I think Julius is still
Dr.
with it.
Chapstick to you.
He was at the Knicks game.
Wasn't he? I don't know.
Who wasn't?
That's true.
A lot of people at the Knicks game.
A lot
of people.
A lot of crowd shots.
A lot
at
of
the
people
Knicks
don't
game.
know this.
He is 75 years of age.
Still alive. Good.
Net worth of $50 million.
Now, I think somebody should consult Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. If anybody would know, it would be those guys.
Here's karma paying off, okay? I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You gotta do this kind of thing. Kenny, I'm not sure that you'd have gone through with this. A lucky lottery player bought a $1 million scratch-off ticket at a gas station in Warren County last month after he passed on a chance to keep an unclaimed $100 bill that he found lying there. The winner chose to remain anonymous, purchased 3 Power 20 Times tickets at the Paul Mart on Main Street, according to the New Jersey Lottery Company. The ticket, which cost $20, was the third and final top prize among several that were sold. Lottery officials said the winner believed the karma played a role in the big win. The player found a $100 bill on the counter, but decided not to keep the money after checking with 2 other customers to make sure they hadn't left it sitting there. Instead, the player asked the clerk to put the money in an envelope in case anyone returned for it. Then he bought his lottery ticket, grand prize winner, and he says it was karma that made him a winner.
Well, it could have been. Kenny would have kept the hun.
How fast did that clerk pocket that $100 bill?
Thank you, man.
Yes. I'll make sure I get in the envelope right up here.
But it was sitting on the counter?
On the counter, yeah, according to the story.
Well, the clerk should have grabbed it. It wasn't the
Yeah,
guy.
the customer shouldn't have any interaction there at all.
I agree. God dang it.
God dang it. The winner, by the way, with his $1 million, plans to buy a modest house and a reliable vehicle.
Well, that's about all you can get for $1 million.
You're the lottery expert, Matthew. Can you win something of that much value in this state and be anonymous?
Yeah, they changed that.
Yeah, they did recently.
You don't have to. So you just send your team.
Yeah,
it's a trust thing.
Yeah, and how long between the winning of the lottery and the check being in my bank account?
Do you know where he's going with it?
How long does that
2
have?
weeks. If you check everything, if everything checks out.
You think you could walk into your bank and say, "This is the winning lottery ticket. I need a quick $1 million. I'll pay you back when this thing cashes out in a month." Do you think they would? Do you think a bank would do that?
Yeah,
No, I do not.
They would. I know a bank that would do that.
Do you really?
Bilski probably
Bilski
would
do that?
Yeah.
I don't
Your
think
guy.
so.
Your guy
Those
that we
comments
lost
are not
yeah.
affiliated with North American.
Those are
Banking
all
Company.
the thoughts I have when I buy a Powerball ticket.
And Chris Reavers, my question for you is, how soon from winning the actual lottery to your death?
Dear boys. Daddy loves you.
I give him a week and a
Tell
half.
your mom I said hi.
Give him a week and a half.
Tell your mom I said goodbye.
I'll be back on Christmas, maybe.
That's awful.
Boy, it'd be fun to remain anonymous, wouldn't it?
Would be.
That's all I think about, Joe, is how do I win this $10 million and nobody find out?
Well, you've just had your answer, so go after it there, Tiger.
So when we try to dial you in at 11:30 tomorrow,
and he's gone,
and it's just
That's
a blank
dead
screen.
Giveaway. Dead giveaway right
I love
there.
those things that no one's going to know I win the lottery, but there will be signs.
No, I think if we turned him on at 11:30, he would wait until noon, and then he would just drop his pants and show us the moon.
You guys aren't even worth the effort, to be honest.
Wow.
I wouldn't even
I understand.
Never see him again.
I changed my phone number right away. And that's,
No, you wouldn't even get a new number.
John, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you need your garage fixed, you get a hold of Precision Door. Precision Door MN. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. The GLers weighed in. They like the service. They text you when they're on their way. They get it completed.
I will say this. Not only do they text you, they give you the exact time that they should be arriving at your place.
And then they actually arrive on time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And get it done in the first visit because they got all the stuff in the truck, usually. Plus, if you need a new door, Precision Door has models of doors for every budget. The designer comes out. That whole consultation is free, of course. And if you get a new door now, Precision Door is throwing in the new motor. That's more than a $760 value. You can call Precision Door at 612-263-6985. Or if you want to go online and schedule either an appointment or your free on-site new door estimate, go to Precision Door, one word, precisiondoormn.com.
This is Ricey. You've been hearing my friend Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, for years on the radio and the Garage Logic podcast. With summer coming on, I strongly recommend you sit down with Josh for your no-cost, no-obligation, 48-minute consultation on your investments, including your IRA and 401k. You can benefit from Josh's years of experience navigating different market and economic conditions, and he'll always give you straight talk, not sugar-coated advice. Give Josh a call now at 952-925-5608 and book your no-cost, no-obligation 48-minute consultation. 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did meet with Josh, and tell him that Ricey sent you.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Well, you heathens probably won't appreciate this, but biblical scholars and archaeologists have found Noah's Ark. Huh?
How do you know?
Okay. They've got ground-penetrating
Serial
radar.
number.
Okay. Was he up on his registration?
It was found in Turkey, and it's called the Durupinar Formation in Turkey. And scientists have determined that ground-penetrating scans have revealed bombshell-shaped voids. You know, where the ship...
Say that again.
We have a Noah's Ark scan scientist, Andrew Jones, used ground-penetrating radar to detect what appears to be a 13-foot tunnel going through the center of the formation, suggesting the Ark did exist. I don't know why a tunnel would have suggested that, but the colossal ship saved humanity, and 2 of every animal from extinction.
That's the kind of part
when a catastrophic flood hit more than 4,300 years ago. The bombshell scans, the Sun reported this. I don't know why conventional news gatherers haven't reported on this. It's been up to the tabloids to tell us this.
I'd say that's pretty big news if they found it, and now they got a little proof.
Well, the bombshell scans have showed 3 layers below the Earth, matching the biblical description of the huge vessel having 3 decks. All right?
The promenade.
The new data has also shown central and side corridors running through the boat's formation. Jones told the Christian Broadcasting Network, "We're not expecting something that's fully preserved. What's left is the chemical imprint, pieces of wood in the ground, the shape of a hall." It's 18 miles south of Mount Ararat in Turkey. The Durupinar Foundation has only been able to has been known to researchers for less than a century. The Bible states that Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat after a 150-day flood. The disaster drowned the earth and every living creature not sheltered inside the ark. What's more, the stunning formation sits near a mountain with a peak that matches the ark's shape and dimensions. Are you becoming a believer yet?
You're leading me, yeah.
Biblical measurements size the boat at 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. That is roughly the same as the dimensions of the peak, 515 feet long, 86 feet wide, and 52 feet tall.
I'm seeing what they found was 538 feet long.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Jones also said the structures revealed angular structures as deep as 20 feet below the surface, which could represent rooms below a deck-like platform. I don't know why there would have been rooms. Maybe the animals had to be kept separate.
What did that thing cost to make?
The Bible seemingly correlates this with construction instructions saying, "Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and thou shalt pitch it within and without."
Yes.
And here's some more pictures from the scans.
Do you have, what's convincing me is the soil samples. Do you have that information?
I'm sure I do.
It's pretty interesting.
Jones said this is not what you'd expect to see if the site were simply a solid block of rock or the result of random mud flow debris, but it is exactly what you'd expect to find if this were a man-made boat consistent with the biblical specifications of the ark. He also performed soil testing, which uncovered interesting things. We noticed that the grass growing within the boat-shaped formation is a different color compared to the area just outside it. He suggested that this could point to a man-made origin rather than a natural one. For those involved in the research, the importance of the discovery is not just limited to its religious implications. While Noah's Ark is a key element in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, the story also speaks to larger human questions about survival, faith, and the fragility of life in the face of natural disasters.
I bet that ark didn't smell very good.
While the theory remains highly speculative, the notion that ancient humans witnessed and survived such a cataclysm has captivated scholars and theologians for centuries. For scientists and archaeologists alike, the potential to link these scientific findings with one of history's most famous legends is as daunting as it is crucial. The story is also a key part of the Abrahamic religious traditions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and is often interpreted as a message of faith, obedience, and God's promise to never destroy the earth with a flood again. According to the book of Genesis, chapters 6 to 9, God decided to flood the earth because of humanity's widespread wickedness. And here's what I would interject. If God's keeping his promise, he's keeping his promise because there's probably more wicked. Of course, they were marrying camels back then. And,
right.
You know, but if God's keeping his word, which God would do, you would think we would have been flooded.
That raises an interesting question,
well,
too.
it's very interesting.
Was there a kind of, keep your hands to yourself rule with the animals?
Yeah, what do you got?
Hey, you came here with Mrs. Giraffe. You can't be over there looking at the...
Before we go down that, I just want to cover this soil thing again, Joe, because I think it proves what you're trying to say. They did pH level tests, okay? 40% more potassium inside the formation compared to the outside. Discrepancies the team deemed consistent with rotting wood.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. John, I liked what you sent out the other day when the.
I'm not done with this.
Oh, it was about God, and he's creating the world. He's got light skin, dark skinned people, and then he said just to make it interesting, he's got a salt and pepper shaker of jerks that he's putting into the world.
Okay. That was a Far Side cartoon.
That was pretty good.
According to the book of Genesis 6 to 9, God decided to flood the earth because of humanity's wickedness, but he chose to spare Noah because of his righteousness and tasked him with building a large ark to save himself, his family, and a pair of every animal. Fellow scientist at Noah's Ark scans, William Crabtree, said that a tunnel appeared to run through the tip of the formation and lead towards the middle. He added that it was large enough to walk through. Analyzing the soil, he noted the elevated potassium pH changes and doubled organic matter inside the formation, which suggested decaying organic material or, as Kenny said, the rotting wood. The team planned to carry out their soil testing experiments beyond the 22 samples they have already collected. They also want to complete a core drilling survey and do additional ground-penetrating radar scans around the site. Okay, boy, there's a lot of print that...
Do you know who Noah is descended from?
I don't.
Seth, the third son of Adam.
I'll be damned.
Really?
Whoever humans took home the victory is the fastest man crossed the... That's a story about robots.
I know he's not welcome anymore, but Bill Cosby did a very funny Noah building the ark, talking with God in the 70s.
Noah.
It's the Lord.
Okay, here's how you...
Somebody say something?
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Funny.
Here's how you look at it.
Yeah. How do we look at it?
I like the idea that what they would wish to discover is, did humankind have the wherewithal to survive a catastrophe 4,500 years ago by building a boat thinking that they needed to save themselves?
Well, they were tipped off.
Well, they were tipped off, but see, you don't even have to believe the tipped off part to go with, were humans capable of whipping together this 535-foot long boat that looks like it has a garage on top of it? That's probably where Mr. and Mrs. Ark stayed, right? And then fill it with animals, and off they went, bobbing around in this horrific flood, a flood so significant it deposited the boat on the top of a mountain.
Ararat. Are you sure that wasn't the pilot house?
Yeah. It was the
But there's no steering that thing, right? It was just like sitting in a pail, floating, or a raft with no oars.
I think it was like Jerry Speece when he went across the ocean in that 8-foot thing.
Oh,
he just was at the mercy of the waves. So I think Noah just said, "Hang on,
here we go."
Now, here's what I've never read. Maybe it's in the Bible. I'm not a Bible student. What happened to Noah and the animals? Well, obviously, they lived. Here we are.
When they sent a bird out, the bird came back with a sprig of olive.
Oh.
And
so
then
you're
didn't he
telling me
later?
There's a chance.
Didn't he later send 2 more birds out, and they did not return? And then he decided,
we got some stuff.
Let's pop it open here. Let's see what we got.
Here they were on Mount Ararat, where the boat sat, and then just deteriorated over the years. Now they're finding soil samples of rotting wood.
Kind of like that boat that's sitting on Beer Can Island over in Hudson.
That's been freed, but
they got it off. Yeah,
she's gone.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Jerry Speece, we lost him in 2019 at 79.
I know. Jerry, what was his boat's name? Miss America?
Yankee Girl.
Yankee Girl.
Misfortunate. At any point, are you going to discuss the parting of the Red Sea?
Not today. Not today. On this day, only because it comes to us all the way from the traveling Lymans in Marloth Park in Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, was on this day.
May 19th.
In 1857, Duluth was incorporated as a town, having been surveyed and mapped and named the previous year. Was on this day,
May 19th.
In 1860, Alexander Ramsey and other Republican notables traveled from Chicago to Springfield, Illinois, to offer Abraham Lincoln the Republican presidential nomination. That's a pretty big day in history.
Yeah, it is.
On this day...
You're talking about May 19th.
I am. In 1968, Adolph Den, printmaker and artist, died in his studio in New York. Born in Waterville, Minnesota, he was known for his satirical lithographs of high society.
You ever been to Waterville?
I have not.
Nice town.
Well, I'm unfamiliar with Adolph Den's work. I bet I've seen it and not known it was him. Right?
Probably.
On this day,
on May 19th,
in 1992, the city of Marshall began operating the first commercial wind farm in Minnesota. Haven't heard much about it, have you?
No.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
Sorry.
You recall about a month ago the power went out in Spain and Portugal?
Yes.
And it was because Spain had just shortly before that switched entirely to renewable energy sources for their electricity. And the word is, the word on the street?
Yeah.
The word is you can expect more of those outages.
Including here.
Because what we've done is we've invested all our money into intermediate sources of power, and we've over-regulated the stuff that works. All right?
We'll wait till that happens here in the great state of Minnesota
Which is inevitable.
Right. Hopefully it doesn't happen in January.
On this day in Minnesota sports disappointment history.
On May 19th.
In 2015. I don't understand why this would be a disappointment. The Timberwolves finally got a first overall pick in the draft after 26 years.
Yeah, that was not a disappointment.
Who'd they pick?
Wouldn't that have been Towns?
Carl Anthony in 2015?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Was it?
It was Towns.
He's back here.
Yes,
Pat's
sir.
back there. He said yes. Well, that wasn't a disappointment.
No.
Very impressive in his opening press conference, and then he turned.
Can't hear him.
Yeah.
He was very impressive in his opening press conference, and then he turned into be a jackass.
Yeah, but can you imagine a trade that worked out better for both teams,
right,
than this trade of Towns to the Jets for
Knicks
or the Knicks, wherever the hell they are?
Would have been interesting if they'd have traded him to the Jets.
Yeah,
He could play like linebacker.
Thank you, GLers.
Thank you very much, GLers. Do us a favor and hit the subscribe button on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah, that's right. Garage Logic has a YouTube channel, and you can watch the show each and every single day starting right around noon as we do the show live on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. You can also see full segments, video shorts, behind the scenes footage in some cases, but it's all there for you on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And you can also follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and X. And sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. All you have to do is sign up right now at the website, which is, of course, garagelogic.com.